Hello everyone and welcome to the Daryl Talks podcast. Today we have got Al Cookson and he is the supercar tour planner. It sounds amazing, so let's get right into it. Welcome Al.
Hello. Hi Daryl. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too. Thank you ever so much for coming on and taking time out of your very, very busy schedule. Al was so good. He asked me, when do you want to do it? Because I am going away. And he was very good. So we've managed to cram this in. And
You're welcome. Just gonna get it all fitted in for you.
And he's invited me into his fantastic home. It is beautiful. It was a beautiful drive down. And yeah, it's just amazing. So, right at the beginning, I'd like to do a few icebreaker questions. So, first question is, what would you say is the most adventurous thing you have ever done?
Probably, I don't know what class as a real big adventure was our 6-week tour we did of Australia. Really, before the tour company started, we went on a road trip in Australia with myself and Sharon when we sold the business and drove all the way around. Loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Did you take a car over? Or did you
No, just hired cars, but drove certainly all the way around the sort of south, from Sydney down to Melbourne and then Melbourne to Adelaide, combined with a lot of other things. Saw some friends I went to primary school with that were living in Melbourne at the time, and then flew across to Cairns, did some time there, then drove all the way down the east coast back to Sydney in 6 weeks and did a lot of miles. But I love driving. I don't know, we loved it. We were up in the mornings and eating prawns off the boat collected in one of the harbours, been on the beach playing frisbee every morning and just real good adventure, yeah.
Was it just you both?
Just us two, yeah. Yeah, 6 weeks. We actually went out we landed in Sydney on New Year's Eve morning. So we were really nice hotel there, right, and watched the fireworks go off the bridge and everything. So that was amazing. And then started the journey. Did the rainforest the next day, I think New Year's Day, and yeah, then left in the car and drove around and just.
So second question is, what is your go-to karaoke song?
That's a bit in the past for me now since I stopped drinking. Probably Mark Cohen, "Walking in Memphis" used to be like a favourite down the pub or back at my house after a few drinks. Or Neil Diamond, "Crackling Rosie" probably would have been the two maybe go-tos, possibly. Grew up listening to Neil Diamond with my parents, all the way down to Cornwall from Lancashire in the car, saying Neil Diamond's greatest hits. So I know most of those almost word for word, I would say.
And third and final question, what is an ick of yours? So an ick is something that grates on you, but it may not grate on everyone.
Ooh, this could be controversial. It happened to me last night, actually. Not people particularly. Jeremy Clarkson used to have a thing about caravans, and living where we live in the southwest there's a lot of those. But the new thing is motorhomes. And where we're going on the tours, which we'll probably come to, you can come across a lot of camper vans on roads that they shouldn't necessarily be on, because they're warned not to be on them because they're very high mountain passes, but they still insist. And then they're doing 15, 20 kilometres an hour over a 70 or 80, 90 kilometre an hour road, and that is really frustrating. So that really does irk me. But, I know everyone's entitled to do the speed they want to do, and that's fine. But, sometimes you think, why are they just going this slow?
And especially in the vehicles that you're in.
Yeah.
That aren't...
Makes it easy to get past, usually, but on mountain passes when they're a bit narrow and there's big drops, you've got to be a bit careful. So it does hurt you, but yeah.
We'll get into it. How do we know each other?
That's got to be the old beer game, hasn't it? Darts.
Absolutely.
Back in the day, we were playing darts for different pubs in Saltash.
And
actually, we're probably sat in a room that your dad painted as well.
Yes.
So
I suppose really
we've known each other a fair while.
Yeah, it's been coming up for 20 years now, actually.
Yeah, must be. Yeah,
because you were living in Botus.
Yeah. Would that be probably before that? I was probably living in Saltash when I first met you, probably in Carkeel, possibly.
Yeah.
But
we played darts together for a couple of seasons, didn't we?
We did. And then maybe against each other at different pubs. I don't know. Things happen, don't you? Move around pubs, don't you? But I haven't played darts. I do miss darts. You used to have a dartboard up right above your head, actually.
Oh, really?
In COVID, there's still some holes in the wall there. Needs Dad to decorate it again. But, we did use some online darts during COVID. We used to...
Yeah.
Yeah, it was quite cool.
So the reason we've got you on is because you're doing a supercar tour experience, basically, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah, could describe it as that, yeah.
So we'll get onto that later, but I'd just like to... How do you end up there? Because I know you also is a very good businessman.
Well, family, we were a family business. But really back in where it all started, really, I was up in Lancashire, left school at 16, one of a few that did at that time. I went to a school and most of them all went to sixth form and quite a lot onto university. It wasn't quite as popular then. I was one of a few who left, ended up going to work for a company that I did holiday work for. Anyway, long story short, I ended up running that business pretty much when I was 18, 19, purely because sadly the owner contracted multiple sclerosis. And I ended up just probably one of the, I always say now, if I ask anybody, I learned more in that job running that than I have in anything else I probably did. Every walk of life, I was right there delivering eggs in the Moss Side riots back in that time, and I just learnt so much from how to deal with people, I guess, at that time. But then that ended. I then ended up running a rally shop because I was heavily into rallying, and ended up owning a business with that as part of our business in the Southwest. My parents helped me get going with that and did that for 4 or 5 years. And then a recession in the 80s kicked in, really, and I had my first child on the way, and it just made sense. I had somebody approach us and wanted to buy that business. They used to fit a lot of the parts I used to sell to guys, exhausts and stuff, and I said, time was right to move to Cornwall and join the family business at the time, really. And like I say, my wife at the time was pregnant with eldest daughter Jessica, who I think you maybe know.
I went to school with.
I thought the time was right. We at the time we were just buying a 5th store, so they really wanted more help here. So took a big move, moved 330 miles, moved down here, and started in the family business.
That's what was the family business?
Chain of Spar stores, so Spar convenience stores. I think 6th store we were buying, and I came down and I ended up running the shop at Saltash at Moat Park. Moved in the flat above the shop and started there learning that. I mean, obviously I knew shop retail because I'd done it in the rally shop, selling things to people. But I had a lot to learn. But, we were a family of farmers originally. When my parents moved down here, they'd moved down.
No way.
I don't know, when I was 15, they moved down. So 40 years we've been here now as a family. And we were dairy farmers. Didn't know anything about retailing at all. But my stepfather, what they did do, they knew a lot about working hard. And hours didn't scare them or anything. And it was a doddle. The first shop in Callington they bought, they used to shut Wednesday afternoons, shut weekend. It was, I know it's very different
like an
now.
old retail store.
It was, well, there's some stories there. I mean, when we first opened Sundays, my stepfather used to be in the court monthly because you weren't allowed to trade on Sundays. So
no way.
And he used to be in the court and he used to get issued the minimum fine every time because they just knew it was coming. But he was in there with the guy who used to own Bruce Reed, who used to own Trago, and they used to break it all the time as well.
Bruce Reed's in Saltash?
No, different Bruce Reed. He owns Trago.
Oh, yeah.
Well, at the time, it's a long story there, actually. One time, my stepfather did buy a car off that guy.
No way.
When we used to live farmers, and they drove down and bought this car. Probably one of the reasons I got into cars, actually, because he bought a De Tomaso Pantera. I think I was about 13 or 14. And arrived back with this car that was unbelievable at the time,
Yeah.
And but from the guy who owned Trago, unbelievably, and then ended up in court with him monthly. But it all just grew and flew. And that back in the day it was easy. But when you started opening longer hours, a lot of shops were still traditional. They didn't open nights, Sundays were always closed, Wednesday afternoons, that sort of thing. So when we took them on, there was a real good chance to develop them and that's what we did. We just worked hard. And
how many did you end up having in the end?
Well, we ended up with 63, all the way across the 5 counties of the Southwest, really. Did cycle it once.
Did you?
Yeah, we did it for our 30th anniversary. There was 3 of us did the whole route. One of our area managers, Jason, who's a top lad at the time, he opted to do it. We just wanted to celebrate it, so we cycled. We actually ended up doing exactly the distance that my parents had done when they moved from Lancashire to here. So we rode from Salisbury, which is the furthest we had at the time, down to Hale. It was 330 miles over 5 days. And all the stores did things. We visited 30 stores, one for each year. The stores did things to raise money for charity. We ended up raising 33 grand.
That's incredible.
Children's Hospice South West, and it paid for a nurse for a year. It was an amazing achievement by all the staff, everything. It was just a real good atmosphere, you know. And I keep saying I might ride that again. Still like riding the bike. From that, I bought my first bike to do that ride, and I don't particularly look like I ride a bike all the time, but I do still love it. And
what capacity were you in then?
I used to say IT director, but general dog's body was probably more.
That's how I. That's how I would have described you. Because
it
wasn't just IT, was it?
We didn't do titles. You had to have a title to do.
Of course,
the old company's house, whatever. But we worked hard, ran the business, did what we had to do, you know. And they've had some tragedy along the way in that whole situation. Which my younger brother, actually, it's his birthday today, would have been, but he got killed on the way to work in the morning in a tragic accident. And sadly, towards the end, my stepbrother Mark, he got cancer, and that wasn't the reason we sold, but it was a contributing factor, possibly.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, sadly lost that battle. So parents had some tough time. You know?
Absolutely, I can't imagine.
Yeah, no, I can't imagine it really. It was a very tough time, but kept going and we built it up to, like I say, 63. We still do own the stores, or we own the freeholds of the stores.
Yeah.
So that's how, we just manage that property portfolio now, and I decided I needed to do something else, and hence we, started GT Tourz.
Sharon, your wife. So I used to work in a high-end supermarket.
Yeah.
That was local to us in Saltash.
Yeah.
And Sharon came in and she explained to me what you guys were doing. And it just, I thought it was just going to be like a little side project of yours. But you've now turned that into...
Well, I
assume it's probably more than full-time, isn't it?
Do it because I love driving. That is, we have a tagline for the love of driving. And that is why I do it. Ultimately, everything has to be a business, but it did start and Sharon used to hate me saying this, actually. It was a bit of a lifestyle business. We used to do a lot of tours. I used to go on car tours with another company, slightly different way the guy used to do it, more cars, potentially one of the tours we did was 40 cars. And you just didn't know people, and I thought, we want to do this in a different way. So we were actually on the side of a mountain one day, and we'd met some people the night before who didn't even know we were on the trip. And they said, "Oh God, we should have known you were on the trip." I was chatting with a friend on the side, and we were waiting in a queue actually to go through a tunnel on the side going back up through just north of the Col de Torini, which is a famous rally stage. And he said, "We can do this better." And I said, "Well, we can do it any better, but we can do it differently." So I started to look at it and thought, yeah, okay, let's give it a go. I had a nice car and I like using it. So I thought, what better? When we had the business, I used to plan all the conferences and potentially some of them with actually your wife.
I know. That's
Lizzie, who works
that's another crossover
another crossover. We've got quite a lot of crossovers, actually, if you look back. But yeah, so I used to supply lots of information and book stuff for the conferences and things and managers meetings and different stuff. I thought, well, actually, and then I used to run the logistics for the rally team when I was rallying all over. So all those sort of things joined together, and I thought, let's give it a go.
You had the full skill set, just you developed them over different times.
Just over different things, and meeting people right back to the egg job, meeting different people. I love it, So, and we started and did a local event in Wales, and tends to be a few friends help you out and come along, and did that, and then friends have told friends, and actually now we've just got a fantastic network of people that keep coming back for more. So we must be doing something okay.
No, absolutely. No. So in its most basic way, what do you do? So
we basically plan. For us, it's all about the route.
Yeah.
Great hotels are lovely. I like nice hotels. Luckily enough, I enjoy some nice hotels and be on spa conferences, whatever it is. So if I like other people like that, so I thought, right, okay. But a lot of people have nice hotels are a given. They're living in that world of supercar world. A lot of people, it's more about the roads and how developing the route to work with nice hotels. That's how we try and put it together, and it works. But it takes a lot of planning. There's a lot behind the scenes of hours of sitting there and looking at roads on Google and then thinking, okay, does that work? Then you've got to go out and recce it, and there's lots going on. But so we're planning the routes, book the hotels, dinners, cafes, just take all the stress out of somebody going on a holiday in their supercar.
So it's like a full itinerary.
Full itinerary from, I lead the cars around on the trip as well. So I help them, we have high power radios. We're trying
so it's like a network.
We're trying to, warn them of hazards or whatever, just to...
You've kept it quite intimate as well, haven't you? So
we have. We do. We've done maximum 14 would be the maximum, including us. I don't like to do 13. I'm not really that superstitious, but 12 or 14. Really.
Fair enough, yeah.
We love what we do, but we have built a really good... We've got a trip in... I've just come back last week from the recce around the Alps, Swiss Alps, Germany, Swiss Alps, into the Dolomites in Italy, and then back round places like Lake Garda, which really people heard of, and it's 40 degrees in Lake Garda last week. I wouldn't have wanted to be.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, it was really, really hot. But we're going back there in September with 12 customers that are, they've done multiple trips with us.
I was going to say, I guess it'll probably be a lot of repeat.
Yeah, fantastic.
And
people,
that's perfect for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because they know what to expect.
Yeah, and we've just built some great friends out of it as well. We've
amazing.
Do we want to do any more than 4 or 5 trips a year? That's probably what, to do it properly, how we want to do it.
Because you and Sharon love travelling, don't you?
We do love travelling, right back from the Australia thing, we do like adventure, we both, luckily, I feel for Sharon sometimes when she's sat in the car all those hours and we drove back. It does all sound glam, but, there's a lot of driving and a lot of...
I was going to say,
back and forth looking for cafes or, it's not just... There's loads of cafes in the middle of the Alps, but where can you park 12 supercars? That is a bit of a different conundrum.
And I guess not safety, but like protection of the vehicles.
Yeah,
and those sorts of things.
Underground parking, or it's okay if a hotel's quite remote. You're not worried about theft so much at that point. But if you're in a city, you've got to have underground secure parking. You're responsible for that. There's a lot more to it. But, we drove back from Lake Annecy on last Saturday in a day. It's 850 miles back to home.
Does Sharon drive sometimes?
No, I drove it all. It becomes a bit of a challenge when you get halfway. You're like, She does sleep a bit. Then I do put on some car podcasts that usually.
Oh, do you?
That usually impresses her. But now maybe I'm going to listen to Daryl talk. So
thank you. Good plug.
Yeah, good plug. Yeah. But we're.
So how does that work? Because I love my wife dearly.
Yeah.
But that's a lot intense.
Yeah,
time
we are
together. What do you talk about? Do you play games? Do you is it like the longest game of I Spy in the world?
I don't know. We just have a good laugh all the time.
That's amazing.
We do. And I think that, if I'm honest, we've got very friendly with a YouTuber called Petrol Ped, actually, who's become a good friend. And he's been on a couple of trips with us. And so he's made a few videos and helped get it out there for us as well. And we've had customers. We had a customer on the April tour around the Picos in northern Spain and Portugal that had come from Switzerland. You won't mind me mentioning a lovely guy called Mario, in case he ever listens to this. A lovely guy who drove all the way across to the north of Spain from Switzerland to do this tour with us. An absolutely great, proper peddler, I would call him. He can drive his car really well. And but that came through that video, so the power of the influencers, if you want to call it, whatever it is,
and
it works.
People talking about it is the best advertisement.
Yeah, without a doubt. I keep putting a lot of stuff on social media and doing things and all that, but actually, most of our tours, we're lucky at the minute. Most of them fill up from rebookers.
Words, and
we had one space left on this Alps tour that we're doing in September. When we were on the last tour, somebody took it. So I thought that might happen. I wasn't too worried, but so we've been very lucky and loyal customers that but they like. But I think what I was really going to say was, I think it's a big asset from our point of view. Most supercar tour companies generally, not always, but generally are run by guys.
Yeah. Quite
adrenaline fueled. It's quite a lot of testosterone going around, I guess, We, obviously, it's myself and Sharon, and I think that's created a nice little niche for us. It's a couple. So we've attracted lots of couples. This next trip, everybody's a couple. That's unusual.
That's amazing.
In the car tour world, most car tours are a lot of single guys having a blast because the wife hates it, you know. Somebody once said to me on a trip, I think I was on a drive one morning and we'd gone down this road and we were spiritedly going. And we got to the end and he said, that was phenomenal. He said, I usually have the human handbrake in the car. I looked at him and I said, you are human handbrake? What are you talking about? He said, well, I usually have the wife in the car. And I was just thought, so I've always remembered that.
Yeah.
And so generally, you know, based on Sharon being in the car with me, it's relaxing. She actually went down the pass on one of the videos we paired, and because I took his brother down on a really nice famous road on the Red Rock Road, actually near Monaco, and Mario came from that. We've had a couple of other customers that have come from those videos, you know. So
that's incredible.
People say it's because you're a couple and it's nice, you know, everybody gets on, and
well,
we are part of the trip. We're not. You know, a lot of events organised. You're not be part of the.
You're not
outside.
Your
We're
face
in it
everywhere,
no,
are you? Like
we want to be in the trip. We don't want to just be telling people to. Right, this is what we're doing. We want to be in it. We're sat at dinner with them. We enjoy it. It's part. We feel like we're paying for our own trip, and you know, we love it. So,
is there ever had like an arsehole on the trip?
No, we haven't really. Not at all. You know, you don't get everything right all the time, do you? Obviously, but you know, and then. Somebody might upset somebody with some driving or whatever. Things happen, you know. But no, generally we've been very, very lucky, you know, because it's friends of friends, and you know, you're either suited to it. If you're not, I mean, yeah, we drive spiritedly where it's safe, you know, and that's what we do. But
I was going to say, how much of that safety bit does?
It's always on, you know, it's always a tricky one.
But then that's what creates the adrenaline, which is the appeal to the tour, really, isn't it? So,
you know, but I mean. This next trip it'll be very, you know, you've got to be mindful of where you are, and the Alps, the roads will be busier, there's more cyclists, you know, but the scenery is just epic. You know, the landscape scenery is better than anywhere. It's picture postcard stuff, and you know, you drive through Switzerland and the road tarmac, well, it is billiard table smooth. It is unbelievable. So, you know, from a car point of view, it's great. And you wouldn't want to go through that particularly quickly. You just want to enjoy your car in a nice place, and that's what it'll be. Whereas you can go into some parts of, you know, inland Portugal, inland where we went in April. There's nobody on the road. I mean, I'm not joking. We drove one of the days on one of the recce's. I think we did 200 miles or 300 Ks. And you're abroad in the right. I think we overtook about 5 cars. It's just nuts. There's just nobody on the road, and the roads are phenomenal. I don't want to tell everybody where they are, but you've got to judge it as to where you are, you know. And I've already put it out there that this next tour is more of a scenic tour as opposed to a hardcore driving tour, if you will, you know. But again, you've got to just be careful everywhere and do the right thing. It's a tricky balance.
How is the risk assessment for planning for something like that? Is it incredible?
Yeah, I mean, you can't. It's very difficult, you know. Ultimately, when you get in a car. You put the key in ignition, you're responsible for whatever you do. You know, you can't say, oh, well, Alan told me this or that. You're responsible to drive in your manner. That's what I always say to everybody at the briefings. Very difficult for them to say, oh, every risk assessment, there's a rock there.
Absolutely.
It's an impossibility. What you've got to say is that it's your responsibility. You're in a car. You know, if you're insured, your insurance, you've got no comeback on me because you got in a car and followed me. Your choice, you know, you're choosing to follow me. So it's very tricky, but I make everybody aware of it. Obviously, there's sign T's and C's and there's usual things. And it's the norm. It'd be almost impossible to like look at every corner and every angle and every, you know, but ultimately you put the key in ignition. You're responsible for your actions. So we try and help that with the radios, whatever it is, to say, look, you know, there is a rock on the side, caution. You know, we're always, and touch wood, with 100% record.
Perfect.
Good. So
that's exactly what you want.
Yeah, that's just what I needed. But obviously, you know, hotels got their own risk assessments, haven't they?
No, of course.
Slide around the pool or the
so it's not
so it's not
you're
relying
too bad
on that for that. It's not too bad, but you just got to make sure everybody's aware that it's down to them. And I always say, we had a customer who actually thanked me for that on the tour in April, and he was more cautious in the car, and he wouldn't mind me saying that, and he didn't particularly like some of the big drops, but he's quite happy to just come along at the back. They've all got satellite navigation, they know where they're going, they've got the routes, they've got a route book, all done by by us. So, he was happy. And he still remembers what I said to him on the first day. You've got to go at your own pace that you're comfortable with. Don't try and it doesn't even matter if you're in the same car.
Yeah.
Because two people in a different car could be in the same car, but they take a different line, they brake at a different point. It's a whole, you can't just follow somebody, thinking that your car will do it because their car's doing it. And it's the same. That isn't the case. You've got to be comfortable with what you're doing. So that's really what I always say. Every day, every morning we have a driver's briefing, and so we're always sort of repeating ourselves. It almost sometimes feels like you take you to suck eggs, but it isn't like that. You've got to be careful. Yeah.
So, do you stick mainly to? Is it solely Europe?
We've just done a tour we just ran a private tour for Ferrari in local Ferrari company. We ran a tour for them in Wales in early July, just a 2-night tour. That was actually the first tour we ever ran was in Wales. So I don't want the business to become an events business that's just 24/7 doing events, flying to here, doing that. Luckily, I don't need to do that. I'm 56 in a couple of months' time, and that's not very old, but I've got other things, and I like a happy balance, and we've done what we've done to get to here, and already got 2025. And in events, as Liz will know, you're always 8 months, 10, 12 months ahead.
Yeah, of course.
2 years ahead in some instances for some people. We were doing Spa conferences back then, it was a couple of years ahead.
Absolutely.
But, so your life passes very, very quickly. I can't believe we're already bloody August, it's like incredible. Yeah. But I've got to start and think I've already got people snapping at my heels wanting to know what we're doing next. They're looking, can I get them booked on the car? I'll give you a deposit, which is fantastic. I love that. But
you mentioned that you stopped drinking now.
Yeah.
Was that just like a random decision, a health decision, or like a bit of everything?
Health, random, yeah, both those things. It certainly helps me with the tours because I couldn't do this job. I remember hearing Denzel Washington one day because it's become a bit of a thing, hasn't it, to give up drinking, and he once said on there. I heard him on, I think it was on Chris Evans on the radio in the morning, and he said, "I've had my fair share, and I want to see 90." And I'd already stopped. I think he was a little bit ahead of me then, but I don't know. I came back from a holiday. Luckily, I was actually diving. Long story short. And I had a bit of a moment and thought, you know what, I think I'm going to just... And I love diving. The day before, we've been diving with sharks and blah, blah. And I thought, when I get home, I'm just going to... We'd sold a business, a lot of things, one with my stepbrother. The whole thing was just a little bit, and I started to get on top of you. And I thought, I'm just going to stop drinking for a bit. And I thought, clear my head a bit. And I just haven't drunk since.
Doesn't it? Taste buds go back to normal and...
you'd have to learn to drink again, I guess, which is what you do when you're 16, isn't it?
It's sad because you invest so much money into building up a tolerance and...
I'd have another car.
Yeah.
That's what I had. But I don't know. I just thought, I never believed in the whole dry January thing or anything. And I came back from holiday and I thought, I'm just going to have a bit of time off of it. Did a month. I thought, I didn't miss that at all. 3 months, 6 months, then you're like, well, I'll do a year. And then I just clear.
No, I guess that's probably a disclaimer you've got to give your...
Well, it's funny, young. I think you're going to probably say the drink driving thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sort of interrupted you there, but it did, funny that did happen on the last trip. And it's never happened before. And police came out of the village. I think somebody had said, oh, whatever. Yeah. And they're looking. It's not hard to find 12 supercars going along the road in Spain that's dead. Anyway, we came in the village. This guy turned round, came back, pulled us all in. Quick story short, round the roundabout, stopped in the middle of this town. Just quite a busy town actually. We were coming into and stopped everybody. Oh, so he said, "Oh, you were reported speeding." Really, I thought, right, okay, well, you can't. They couldn't get you because they haven't caught you. But
of course.
Anyway. Sure enough, out in they open the back of the car up. So news was actually a lot of police. They don't have. This was a really modern new car, like an SUV thing, all kitted out. Opened it up, and out comes the drink. The breathalyzer.
Yeah.
I thought, oh hello. And you do start to worry. Then you think it was like 10
o'clock
in the morning.
Yeah.
The guys have had a night. But they're pretty sensitive. They know, Anyway, they all breathalyzed and they were all fine.
Oh,
so it was.
I
think one person got done for no front number plate, which is a usual thing on a supercar. It upsets people. But some supercars just don't like front number plates because there's nowhere to put them.
Yeah, of course.
There's a problem, but clearly it's it's a legality thing and you should have it on there. But yeah, somebody got done €80 for no number plate and that was it. So yeah, but you do worry, because there's loads less tolerance. So that is another thing but I'm not there like the holiday police, they're on holiday.
Adults, aren't they? Yeah.
So they're adults and they know that when they go to work and whatever. So, and actually they're all there. I mean, it's a different type of, our customers seem to, they're there because they love driving.
Yeah.
So they want to be all right in the morning. They don't want to be waking up with a headache and if they do, I mean, actually, one of the day, I think that did, does worry you, doesn't it, when that happens? And the last night, I think we did have a few drinks, and somebody did do one of those test breathalyzers that you're supposed to carry in France, and a couple of them did them, and one person failed it, so the wife drove, and they didn't, they were fine by lunch. They were surprised. You don't know, you never quite know. They're a bit, I wouldn't know how accurate they are.
No.
But he didn't drive because, I think it just makes people a bit nervous.
Well, absolutely. And again, you don't want to ruin a holiday.
You don't want to ruin your
own holiday, do you?
No, absolutely. So, but like I said, they're there to do the adventure. The whole thing's an adventure. You asked me what the big adventure is. I love setting off here when I set off because every tour's an adventure, really, and I see it like that, really.
So you're doing five tours a year?
5, I would say. Yeah, we'll have done 5 this year. By the time we've done September. We may do a winter one. We've done a little GR Yaris tour in Wales a couple of years ago, which was popular, and we may just recreate that again in December because it was quite a nice time to do it. The road, you wouldn't be a time to take most supercars are in hibernation. Yeah, when it comes to December, they're usually in storage or something. But we have a little Yaris that we use for wrecking, and a bit like my old rally days, it's a 4-wheel drive little thing, and it's like a little. We may do one of them. I've got a few people asking if we're doing it again, so I might even do one in the southwest, actually.
So do you use other people's suggestions as well as
I spend a lot of time researching.
Yeah.
On, I watch a lot of YouTube guys on tour, so the guys, Gary's videos, and he does a lot of driving stuff. You're always looking for something, other people post stuff, you're looking, where's that road? Is there any way I can find that road? I mean,
it's so weird. It's such a weird way to watch a video. Do you know what I mean?
Honestly, Sharon goes, oh yeah. I said, I'm working. This is work. And the other day in the gym, I went in the gym in the morning and I watched this video of this. There's the new car called the Gordon Murray T50. Probably the most famous car as well. The McLaren F1 car, which is circa 20 million quid now. So you can't Yeah. Circa more, some. Which, they've been around 20 years, I think. So anyway, the guy who developed that for McLaren at the time, a guy called Gordon Murray, has built his own car, which is called a T50, which is basically looks quite similar. It's got some big differences, but it's a modern version of what he'd created for McLaren. Well, this guy had done a test of both cars back to back. I mean, most McLaren F1s are. I mean, the most famous person who had a McLaren F1 is Mr. Bean.
Was it?
Yeah, Rowan Atkinson. Wrote his car off twice while he had it. He used to daily it. That was, he had one from new and blah, blah. Anyway, that car's been sold on now. And anyway, with this and he's got a T50. Anyway, this guy had done a test on both on this amazing road. But the sneaky, some people, they don't show anything about where it is. You couldn't. So I'm watching it in the gym. I'm analysing it with my glasses. Where is this road? I need to find this road. I don't know this road because a lot of the roads you sort of know. I can see they use the same roads. A lot of YouTubers in Wales or whatever, or in the bits of road. Straight away I go, oh, that's that road. Said to Sharon, that's that road. This one, no. And I spent I was going through this video, 20-minute video, amazing cinema. Then I saw it right at the end. There was a little bit of a flash of a side camera dink with this road, and it was like K43 whatever somewhere. And it's in southern Spain, in just down below Benidorm, somewhere down there. And I'm planning a route to go there next year already. Coming back from, we're going to run 2 tours initially. We're going to run one down to Marbella, round Marbella, because we've always had a place down there for a long time. And I thought, I want to run a tour down to here. So we've got a plan to run that. And then a week later, we're going to run a tour back from there, back up through towards Valencia and into the Pyrenees and home. So we're going to ship the cars one way or the other. But this bit of road's just off that route that I'm planning He's now going to be on the route. But I spent all this time watching this video, and then literally I went in the comments on YouTube, and somebody had put, if anybody wants to know this road's or whatever, I was like, I couldn't believe it, even though I'd found it.
So you're an investigator as well.
Yeah, you've got to do a lot of investigating. Yeah, you just got to find the stuff, and you're always looking for something different. Again, because we like adventures, we don't want to keep doing the same. We've done quite a lot of stuff in the Pyrenees. We've just run the one we did in April. We ran in October because we had people couldn't get on the October one, so we reran it. Some of the same people went again because they loved it.
I was going to ask that. Like, will you recycle?
The Pyrenees stuff. We'll go one way and then we'll go there. And this time we've like mixed it up to do a bit of both ways. So we went zigzagging across the Pyrenees, and we went down to the Grand Prix at Barcelona, and that's got one more year to run in Barcelona because the F1's moving then to Madrid. So I've already got a plan in my head to think, right, we're going to be at the first Madrid. It's just more like a street track.
Yeah.
So I want to be there potentially with a tour. That'll be 2026. Is the first race because the last one's in Barcelona next year. So yeah, we're trying to mix it up the best we can, but there is always favourite ways.
Yeah.
But sometimes you think actually that way was better. But most customers can't remember where they. I can't remember, and I've driven them probably more than most. But you can't remember every road.
No, of course.
You're always going to see something different. I also like the challenge. This trip in September is new. We've never run a trip to the Alps before. I've done a lot of trips. When we used to go with our previous company, we always went to the Alps. I'd never done the Pyrenees until I started, with the tour. We'd never actually been to the Pyrenees. That was a big learning curve, and we've learnt a lot, and we know which roads now are better than others, and, some of my favourite roads. I mean, my second favourite road is close. There's one in the Pyrenees called the Collada de Tosses, which was one of Jeremy Clarkson's favourites at one point. That's an amazing road. But then we found this one in Portugal, in the highest part there, in a place in the Serra da Estrela. I think that maybe edges it a little bit. I don't know. A bit better surface. And some of our customers have done both.
Planning for like breakdowns and stuff as well.
Happened for the first time on the last one. We always say, look, you need breakdown recovery, all of those things. We don't supply any. It's impossible. Most of these cars are just like computers, really. If turning them off and back on again doesn't sort it, you really got a problem, because it can be a sensor. It's a Control-Alt-Delete thing. That's what if you do that, walk away for 10 minutes, come back, open it. That quite often can sort most problems. Sadly, we had a customer, a French customer, a very good customer, been on a lot of tours with us. Sadly, his car failed on the worst day possible. Really, for him, he'd actually organised to get a drone pilot there to go to. We were going to a track session, a private track session. We try and organise something on that, whether it be the F1 but we had a private track session at a really nice circuit close to a hotel we use. And he'd organised this professional drone pilot to come in, a friend of his, to come and film it, and we were all going to contribute, and his car broke. And it was just, I felt so sorry for him, but ultimately there's nothing a lot you can do, because we can't start towing you can't tow a car. Look, they were happy to stay. Another friend, because they've all become friends anyway, and one of the guys turned around, went back, helped them out, made sure everything was all right. We carried on, led the other guys, and then they waited, sadly, the blinking French breakdown recovery, and actually they French, so they could talk the language anyway, so they weren't worried about.
So it's not just British. It's not just like British people.
No, we've the French chap we met. He was on a tour in Wales, actually.
How do you cope with translation?
They speak great English. Sadly, I mean, really, we've had a place in Spain for 30 years, but my Spanish is Dos Cerveza, or now it's Dos Coffee Can Leche or something. But
classic case of the ignorance of the British.
Yeah, I can pick up a bit of Spanish now, but I certainly can't talk any of it really at all. But I mean, the Swiss guy I mentioned before, he spoke amazing English anyway. A lot. We're just lazy, aren't we?
Yeah.
I'd be struggling. I always say, if somebody came to me and said, "Look, I don't speak English," coming from France, I would probably advise them that that's
probably not for them.
Not for them. There's other companies that maybe they could go with that. Because there's not going to be a good experience for them, is it? If 10 other customers are English, it's going to be a bit tricky and a bit lonesome. So,
have you had any celebrities yet?
Oh, celebrities. No. I don't want to say the biggest celebrity would be Petrol Ped, I guess.
Yeah.
YouTube guy, he's pretty big. he's a YouTube celebrity out there. He's in
Well,
Goodwood. He's signing autographs and stuff.
They're as much as of celebrities as footballers now.
They are
they?
now, aren't they? I know, absolutely. I mean, some of the big, I watch, Shmee. He's a huge YouTuber, and but I like watching the YouTube films. There's a guy called Cars with Luke, I think it's called. I just always watch his films. He lives in Switzerland, has a lot of Porsches and stuff, but he always drives mountain passes. And that's what he films, and that's how he makes a living and gets cars, whatever it is. And so I like watching, because if I get to the mountains, instantly my hair's standing on end. I've got a buzz. It is my happy place for sure.
No way.
Yeah, I used to, diving thing's a big thing. I used to love that, but I've sort of gone off that a little. I haven't really been in the dive always, but yeah, as soon as I get anywhere near the mountains, Sharon's aside, I'm just happy out of bed, and I love it. So,
is there anywhere you haven't been that you absolutely it's on the list?
It's on the list for sure. Croatia is a bit of an in place now. I want to go. It's a bit of a trek. You really need to ship the cars both ways, and a lot of our customers actually, they're not interested in, when I say ship the cars, you get them on a truck, 6 cars on a truck. It's like a car transporter. And then you would fly into wherever and pick your car up and then do the tour and then ship them home. And that obviously has an expense.
Of course.
But also there's an expense to driving right across France with fuel, tolls, the tunnel cost. So actually, if you can fill a truck and you get reasonably priced flights, it can work out cheaper. And then if you take into account depreciation, a lot of these cars are very mileage sensitive. So, if you're using a Ferrari and you're driving 1,000 miles to get to, or 1,250 miles maybe to get to even the start of an event each way, 2,500 miles, that can be really detrimental on your resale value of your car.
Of course.
So they're got to be very careful. We have shipped cars back. We shipped on one of the tours we ran, ended up in Nice. We had 6 customers wanting to ship the cars back, so we organised the truck. There's lots of things, elements to the planning that, and I say these trips we're going to do in 2025, that April, May time, are going to be ship the cars one way, potentially,
back.
And then we'll drive out on the first one. Those cars can ship home, but the same trucks can then bring cars out for the second tour, and that can save a bit of cost because the trucks are working both ways.
Yeah,
because a lot of the time they run empty.
Yeah,
one way,
and they still got to be paid.
Yeah. We have a lot of sat navs and a lot of stuff to reload for the.
What year did you start the tour?
It's in the 5th year now. So, but we did Wales. Then we were planning,
because COVID was
right
at the beginning, was it?
Yes, it was, and we had a trip booked to the Pyrenees, the first European trip. Put deposits down at all the hotels, and then COVID. And we'd sold about, I think we still had about 4 spaces left to sell. It was quite, they weren't filling then because obviously we were new. But actually, COVID, you couldn't do anything. But a lot of the hotels wouldn't refund the money. So basically, we held on, and when it opened up again, we reran the trip, and it worked in our favour in the end, because we ended up doing a trip that went to a hotel in Po that there's an historic Grand Prix track runs right across the front of the hotel. So old-timer cars and stuff. So, and the dates we booked the trip, actually, it turned out to be the days that these old historic race was on.
Amazing.
Well, the hotel triples in price then, normally. But because we'd held our money from 2 years previous, they let it ride. So we had this amazing wake-up call at 7:30 with basically didn't need an alarm because of the sound of a V8 old-time or a flat 6 Porsche or whatever was going past the window, and it was incredible. So it sort of worked in our end, but yeah, we had that to overcome. But we did get involved then with a private members club, and we did some local UK tours for them. They approached us because their tour guy had quit, I think, or something, and we did some tours for them.
Oh, was that during COVID?
Just after.
Oh, yeah.
Would have been
so
just after.
What did you do in that time then? Like during COVID, were you just locked down?
I mean, to be honest, we still have the other business. So we have a property rental business, so with the stores. But we also had some other things, and we were building a couple of houses on a bit of land that we had near shop. We sort of parked it. I couldn't do a lot, but then I kept, looking at routes and playing with stuff and what could we do. And I sort of do a lot of that social media stuff and sort of hit and miss. I don't do a lot outside of when I'm not doing a tour.
Yeah.
Because that's a job in itself, isn't it? As you know, it is a job in itself. It's not easy.
Oh, you kind of already touched on the future. you think you just keep going and keep?
I think, yeah.
Because the exclusivity of it, that must be a tricky play business-wise.
It is because, you know, if it was all about the money, the easiest way to make more money out of it would be to do 20 cars. And that's what a lot of guys do because it is their living fully. And I'm lucky I'm in a position that we've had the other business and we've put ourselves in a position that's, as a family, that we can sort of do something else. And so I don't know, longevity of it, as much as we want to keep going, really. But it has, I think we generally talk about it, the guys on the trips, and think, it isn't a forever thing. I mean, car speed, you know, restrictors are now built in on cars in Europe, aren't they? And it's coming. 70 will be a limit or whatever. And it's going to make old cars potentially more valuable, I think, in time, may do, because
they won't have restrictors on.
We're supposed to be out of Europe, aren't we?
Yeah.
But ultimately, these car manufacturers are still building, you know, all that tech's still there. It's whether it's turned on or off. And if that happens, then clearly that's probably not what you want to do when you go, I mean, all right, it's fine if you want to go scenic all the time, but ultimately some of these cars, they want to drive them spiritedly, you know, so... That was
a question I was going to ask, actually. How did Brexit affect the European tours and everything?
Well...
Because I literally have no idea, but I know that certain people in certain sectors have been heavily affected by it.
Well, it is, it's a big problem certainly from a, like, for instance, just a VAT point of view. If we were to go VAT registered, we're not, you know, we're just a small business at the minute, and we're fine there. But you can't get VAT back from hotels and stuff like that because now we're not in Europe, whereas before that was, I believe, easier. I'm not 100%. I'm not a VAT expert by any means, but from our point of view, the biggest thing is the time factor, and it's 90-day rule, 90 days in 180. So we're always monitoring that, and actually when we go on holiday next week, we're going to get, I think we get to about 10 days left, but then in the next couple of weeks after that it goes back to 40 days because it's on a rolling 180 days. So you've got there's an app, you know. I just thought one day, I wonder if there's an app for that. Of course there is. Yeah. I've invented it, but everything I think of, there's usually an app for it or something. God, when we were going on our adventure in Australia, I thought, I'm not going to be living out of a bag for 6 weeks. I'm going to have to do something about this. And I thought, you need packing bags. I thought, have I invented something there? That'll be ideal. Amazon have got their own, maybe something, but Amazon have got their own brand of packing bags. They are a winner. They are absolute winner when it comes to...
What's a packing bag?
Well, so you put pants in one, socks in another, t-shirts in
like little compartments?
They go in the case. So when you were getting... And I don't think I could cope with doing driving tours without them. I'm actually going to put... We said on last show, I'm going to put a link to them on the mail outs. We do a mail out every, like... We've already done the first one. There'll be a next one going out next week, probably for the 6 weeks out now from the next tour. So there's usually have you done this? Reminder, have you get your car service? Things like that. And I'm actually going to put the packing bags in there because they are... You just get to the hotel and you unload. You're not having to sort your bag out every day. It'd be too much. You'd stress you out. You know, it's just silly little things like that. The little tips, really, that I just try and pass that on.
And it is just you and Sharon that are organising all this.
Yeah,
I think it's brilliant that you've built a sort of community within a quite small niche.
I need to do a little bit more with that, if I'm honest. I keep saying I'm going to get into WhatsApp community thing that you can get on there now, but I don't want to go into it half-hearted. I need to understand it, and I just haven't had a chance in the last few months and we should have. I could have our own events, really. I think we've got enough people that...
Don't have somebody that does the hotel planning.
No, not at the minute, and I think if you were to go to the next level, you would need that because there's too much in our heads.
Well, you've only got so many hours in a day.
And it becomes too much like a job, and
that's it.
For the one of that, well, you know, I enjoy it, but I don't want it to become a real chore. You know, I don't know. And maybe my daughter Georgia, who's a bit younger, she's in Cardiff, and maybe she would get involved. I don't know. It could become another family business.
Oh my God!
But ultimately,
I love the fact that she's the first person you thought of, though. Well, not getting someone in, just think family first.
I could teach her, couldn't I, and do that. That wouldn't, she could do it We'll see how it progresses, but it won't go on forever, I don't think. From a potentially just it'll get stopped by rules and regs and whatever comes into place, but we'll see. And I mean, certainly Switzerland, they are pretty against supercars in Switzerland. They don't there's some big fines and things. You got to be careful.
Is that because of emissions?
Just noise.
Oh,
they don't
okay.
like they got
So any
noise
sort of
meters,
pollution,
all sorts of
basically,
stuff.
yeah.
They don't. They just don't. I don't think they mind you going there and the view, but you got anything speed limit strict. You just stick with it, which is fine. That's what we'll do. But
Scotland's a bit like that as well, isn't it?
can be, but there's some quick roads in Scotland. I've been on. But again, it's going to be more and more cameras, isn't it? There's going to be more and more tech that's out there that's going to make that more awkward for spirited driving. But
so I guess it'll put it eventually these things put in place take the fun out of
take the edge off it, and if that becomes the point, then I guess that might be time to fully retire. I don't know. Something I've retired already, but actually I've been working harder than I probably have for certainly in the last.
A lot of people seem to do that. They'll retire from what would be classed as their normal job, but then their hobby job ends up consuming.
It is, it does consume most of my time, really. But whilst you love it, it's fine.
What do you do to unwind then? Like when you're not working?
Well, that is, because ultimately cars has become a little bit of, we go for a drive on a Sunday week. I'm having a local Porsche club here that we go drives on a Sunday morning early, but Sharon loves that. She gets to drive as well, her own car. And some days we're getting up at 4:30 on a Sunday morning to get to Exeter to then set off on a drive with them at 6 o'clock. So you're because the roads are quiet, obviously, and do you still love it? Yeah, we do. We do still do it. So maybe I think we came back from a trip and we were only home a day, and then we went out and did that, didn't it? But I was a little bit jealous of the guys at the golf club the other day. I thought I used to love golf when I was,
Well, yeah, because you live
30s.
on a golf
I do
course,
live on the side of the
basically.
golf course, yeah. And I used to play for the team here, and I always used to say I'd love to live over there. And I said, when I played golf a lot, I used to look at the houses and think, probably this house, possibly even, because it's right opposite where I used to stand.
But cars is always
the thing. Has always been there. I mean, like I say, the Di Tommaso Pantera that my stepfather John bought when I was young. I remember going to rugby in that when I was at school, and they could hear it coming from a mile away, noise, We used to babysit for a guy in the village up in Lancashire that had a Lancia Stratos. And I used to sit in the garage looking at this car thinking, wow. And then they were rallying, and I got into rallying, and then there was Stratoses were rallying. And funnily enough, the car, luckily the Ferrari I've got, somebody once put on Instagram, I saw a post and said, is it me or does this car look like a Lancia Stratos? And put both pictures above each other on Instagram. Yeah. And I thought, that's what it is. I knew I loved this car. And it's got a look of a Lancia Stratos, and that was probably really the first car that got me into cars. So yeah, right back from being 15 when we used to babysit for this girl in the village.
Because your dad had a great car collection, didn't he?
Yeah, my stepdad, John. Yeah, he went. Yeah, he did. He's always had car. I grew up with M5s. Were quite when we were building the shops up. Always had an M5, which would be a great tour car. Now, but yeah, when we did sell a business, had quite a few nice bit of fun with cars, and got to drive a few of those, which was nice. Aston Martins mostly.
Oh, really?
But yeah, he's a bit of a James Bond though, really. But yeah, did love it.
Would you ever expand your collection? Because you seem to be quite practical with your cars.
Cars need to have a purpose for me. At the minute, I've probably got one car too many for sure. Ultimately, I've probably got what I would class for me as the ultimate tour car. I got a GT3 Touring, which does what it says on the tin.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I cannot thank you enough.
No.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
No, pleasure.
And I wish you the best of luck. All your links will be posted in the description. Cool. And guys, if any of you are looking for an amazing tour, please get hold of him.
Thank
you.
Cheers.